Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a quote that stopped me in my tracks when I first read it. It's from Junot Díaz, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and it goes like this. It's never the changes we want that change everything. Just 7 words, but packed with so much truth about how life actually works versus how we think it should work. If you've ever felt frustrated that your carefully laid plans didn't pan out the way you expected, or if you've been blindsided by life events that completely shifted your trajectory, this video is for you. We're going to explore why the universe seems to have its own agenda and how understanding this can actually set us free. Who is Junot Díaz? Before we dive in, let's talk about who said this. Junot Díaz is a Dominican-American writer who won the Pulitzer Prize for his novel The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. His work often explores themes of identity, immigration, love, and loss, basically all the messy, beautiful, complicated parts of being human. Diaz knows something about unexpected change. Born in the Dominican Republic, he immigrated to the United States as a child. His family's story, like so many immigrant stories, was shaped by changes they didn't choose. Economic pressures, political situations, the search for opportunity. These weren't changes they necessarily wanted, but they became the foundation of everything that followed. This personal experience of unplanned transformation infuses his writing with authenticity. When Diaz talks about change, he's not speaking from theory, he's speaking from lived experience. Breaking down the quote. Let's unpack this quote word by word because every piece matters. It's never the changes we want. Think about the changes you've actively wanted in your life. Maybe you wanted to get promoted, find love, move to a new city, lose weight, learn a new skill. These are conscious desires, changes we plan for, work toward, and can visualize. But here's what's interesting. These wanted changes, even when they happen, rarely transform us in the profound ways we expect. Getting that promotion might bring new stress. Finding love might reveal new insecurities. Moving to that dream city might leave you feeling just as restless as before. That change everything. The phrase change everything is crucial here. Diaz isn't talking about surface-level modifications or improvements. He's talking about fundamental shifts, the kind that alter your perspective, your priorities, your understanding of who you are and what matters. These are the changes that create before and after moments in your life, the kind where you look back and think, that's when everything shifted. The paradox of planned change. Why don't our wanted changes change everything? There's a beautiful paradox at work here. When we want something to change, we're operating from our current state of consciousness. We're like someone trying to solve a problem using the same thinking that created the problem. Our desired changes are often just extensions of who we already are, not transformations into who we might become. Think about New Year's resolutions. We want to exercise more, eat better, be more organized. These are good goals, but they're modifications to our existing patterns, not fundamental shifts in how we see ourselves or the world. Real transformation requires something we can't plan for, a shift in perspective that we don't even know we need until it happens. The comfort zone trap. Another reason our wanted changes don't change everything is that we tend to want changes that keep us in our comfort zone. We want better circumstances, but we don't necessarily want to become different people. We want external improvements that don't require internal revolution. But the changes that truly transform us, they drag us kicking and screaming out of our comfort zones into territories we never would have chosen to explore. The power of unwanted change. So what are these changes we don't want that end up changing everything? Loss and grief. The death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, losing a job. These experiences crack us open in ways that success never could. They force us to confront mortality, vulnerability, and what really matters. Failure and rejection. That startup that crashed and burned, the book that got rejected by every publisher, the relationship that didn't work out. These failures often redirect us toward paths we never would have considered, paths that turn out to be exactly where we needed to go. Health crises. A serious illness or injury forces us to confront our assumptions about control, time, and priorities. Many people describe these experiences as unwanted gifts that taught them how to truly live. Unexpected opportunities. Sometimes it's not trauma, but surprise opportunities that we didn't seek. The random conversation that leads to a career change. The mistake that opens a new door. The detour that becomes the main road. Real-life examples. Let me share some examples that illustrate this principle. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he co-founded. This was definitely not a change he wanted, but it led him to start Next and Pixar, experiences that made him a better leader and innovator. When he returned to Apple, he was transformed, and so was the company. Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty and faced significant trauma in her early life. These weren't circumstances she would have chosen, but they became the foundation of her empathy, resilience, and ability to connect with others' struggles. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare when she started writing Harry Potter. The financial desperation and life circumstances she didn't want created the pressure and focus that led to one of the most successful book series in history. In each case, unwanted circumstances created the conditions for transformation that planned changes never could have achieved. The science behind unexpected change. There's actually research that supports Díaz's observation. Psychologists have identified something called post-traumatic growth, the positive psychological change that can result from struggling with difficult circumstances. Stress and neuroplasticity. Moderate stress, the kind that comes with unwanted change, actually promotes brain plasticity. It forces us to develop new neural pathways, literally rewiring our brains in ways that voluntary change rarely achieves. The default mode network. Our brains have a default mode, patterns of thinking and perceiving that run automatically. Wanted changes often reinforce these patterns. Unwanted changes disrupt them, forcing us to develop new ways of processing reality. Cognitive flexibility research shows that people who've navigated significant unwanted changes often develop greater cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt thinking to new situations. This skill then serves them in all areas of life, living with this truth. So how do we live with the knowledge that it's never the changes we want that change everything? Surrender without giving up. This doesn't mean becoming passive or stop working toward goals. It means holding our plans lightly. Work toward what you want, but stay open to what you don't expect. Reframe resistance. When unwanted change shows up, our natural response is resistance. But what if we could develop a curious relationship with disruption? What if we could ask, "What is this here to teach me?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" Trust the process. Life seems to have an intelligence that our conscious minds can't grasp. The detours, delays, and disasters that derail our plans often redirect us towards something we couldn't have imagined. Embrace uncertainty. If the changes we want don't change everything, then certainty about the future becomes less important than flexibility in the present. Uncertainty transforms from something to fear into something to navigate with curiosity. The freedom in acceptance. Here's the paradox. Accepting that we can't control the changes that matter most actually gives us more freedom, not less. When we stop trying to force specific outcomes, we can put our energy into developing the skills that help us navigate any outcome. Resilience, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and wisdom. When we accept that life has its own curriculum, we can become better students instead of fighting with the teacher. This doesn't mean becoming fatalistic. It means becoming more responsive and less reactive. It means preparing for surprises instead of trying to prevent them. Practical applications. Daily practice. Start noticing the small, unwanted changes in your daily life. The traffic jam that led to an interesting podcast. The cancelled meeting that gave you time to think. The mistake that taught you something important. Relationship with difficulty. Instead of asking, "How can I avoid problems?" try asking, "How can I become the kind of person who handles problems well?" Planning versus preparing. Keep making plans, but focus more on preparing yourself to adapt when those plans change. Develop skills, relationships, and perspectives that serve you regardless of circumstances. It's never the changes we want that change everything. Junot Díaz gave us a profound truth wrapped in simple words. The changes that truly transform us are rarely the ones we would choose. They're the plot twists that force us to become larger than we thought possible. This isn't a cruel joke from the universe. It's how growth actually works. Wanted changes improve our circumstances. Unwanted changes improve our souls. The next time life throws you a curveball, remember this quote. Remember that you might be in the middle of a transformation you couldn't have planned for. One that's preparing you for a future you can't yet imagine. What unwanted change in your life ended up changing everything? Share your story in the comments below. And if you found this exploration helpful, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the ideas that shape how we understand ourselves and our world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.